Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to use the JMRI software in order to control Lionel TMCC or legacy trains. Now, first off, let me kind of explain what this is. I don't really want to call it a replacement for the LCS Wi-Fi, but that's pretty much what this is doing. It's a much cheaper version of it because I think you're at like $200 or something like that to start getting into the LCS Wi-Fi stuff. But with this, all you actually need is a USB to serial cable. This was like $10. Or if you have an old enough computer, you might actually have a port like that already on it. But anyhow, you'll need your legacy command base or TMCC. This will actually work with the TMCC system as well. And you'll need a train layout and a computer. Now, your computer doesn't have to be fast at all. This laptop's actually way overkill just to run this software. So this could actually be a pretty good use for an old computer if you have one laying around. Preferably you'll want one with Wi-Fi on it or some kind of network connection. Anyhow, on the legacy command base, you'll need the Y cable that comes with it. So, and just on the end of this, you'll plug in your serial adapter here, or plug it straight into a computer if you have that option. And then that can be plugged into a USB port on the computer. And we'll go ahead and start working on installing the software. And I've got the screen capture software set up over here. But anyhow, go ahead and start working on that. Alright, over here on our computer, you will need to download and install Java, if you don't already have that. And that's pretty simple, just follow the instructions. But one thing to note, when you come up to a thing where it will say recommended, change your search engines over to Yahoo or whatever, make sure you don't accept to that part of it, or say don't change my browser settings or whatever it comes up with. Unless you want to use a Yahoo for your search engine, I guess that's alright. But anyhow, the other thing, if you just Google JMRI, you come to this download section here. And we're going to go to the production version release here. And that is right here. And we're going to download it for Windows. And it should automatically start the download. And it's going to ask me where I want to save this, I suppose. That's good enough. Alright, so that's going to take a little while to download. And while that downloads, first off, I want to apologize for the quality of this microphone. It's probably not that great, but then again, I'm not really sure. But the other thing I want to talk about is the limitations of the JMRI software for Lionel engines. There's quite a few of them, so this is definitely not a replacement for like the LCS software, at least not yet. They do claim to be working on some of this stuff that I'm about ready to talk about here. But JMRI, it's an open source thing, so it's completely free. There's actually a pretty large community of people that use it out there. But I actually got pointed to this by a friend at the local train club around here, which is actually HL, and he asked me, I wonder if you can use this software here, and he went through the list of control systems that it worked, and sure enough, Lionel TMCC was in there. But anyhow, this is meant to work with HO or N-scale DCC. It's not really meant for the O-scale TMCC setup. So that causes some limitations. One of the big ones is you cannot run lash-ups like what I'm used to doing here. You can only run single locomotives. Another one being it doesn't run the legacy commands like some of the LCS apps will do. So you don't get the quailing whistle and the 200 speed steps, that kind of stuff. But for me, that doesn't really matter because I do actually have a TMCC. Sorry, can't talk. I do have a TMCC engine that I run off of this. It's old number 8048 here, the SD90 Mac. But I'll show you that a little bit later after we get this installed. This is what is it, a 92 megabyte download here. And there's just some other things that I'll show you while it's actually running that are just a little bit annoying. But there are some kind of neat things that you can do with this software that you can't actually do with some of the other ones as well. And I'll show you that too. And there is also a way to sort of set up a dispatch screen. I haven't really figured that out yet, so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to get into how to set that up. But anyway, if I think of something else to say about this, I will. But anyhow, the download's just about done. And I suppose I did think of something else I should mention here. And that's if we go back to this and we click on Lionel TMCC, you can get, it tells you the limitations here. There's also no Lionel TMCC model underneath the roster entry tabs. I'll talk about that a little bit later. The wiring's pretty simple. There's different settings. And this is what I wanted to talk about here was it tells you which functions do what. And I'll show you how I have that set up a little bit later here. But we go ahead and open this up. Minimize my little screen capture thing. Get that out of here. And just say yes when that pops up, and you'll get welcome to the setup wizard. And that's fine. I'll just let it install everything. And here we go. Just let this install. And it should pop up with like a first time configuration menu when this is finished. Alright, so it's saying completed now. We'll click on next. And we'll click on finish. Alright, and you'll notice I now have two new icons over here on my desktop. I've got this Decoder Pro thing and this Panel Pro icon. So, well, first off, I'll open up Decoder Pro, and this is the main software. And okay then. No first time configuration thing since I've already actually set this up before. Oh well. But I should be able to go into somewhere in here, settings. Okay, since I have installed this before, it's already come up with the settings that I have, but if we open up Decoder Pro, and I'll show you how this actually needs to be set up here. If we go under Edit and then Preferences. Now, System, underneath this first Connections tab, System Manufacturer will be Lionel TMCC, and you'll see there is a lot of different systems in here. And then your connection type will be serial, because that's the only way that you can connect to a legacy or TMCC command base. And serial ports, whatever it comes up as. It'll probably be the only one that you have hooked up to your computer. And you don't really need to mess with any of these other things here. Really, there's no other things you should have to mess with underneath all this stuff. So, anyway, underneath this, I'm just going to show you how to add in a new locomotive real quick, because as I mentioned before, this is where it was saying there's no set thing for TMCC, so you actually have to go NMRA and then do the NMRI standard CV definitions in order to use a Lionel locomotive with this, and the address will be whatever the 2-digit number is that you have set up on your engine. Same address that you'd address it with, like a TMCC or Legacy, and they will always be the short address. So let's go ahead and put 01 in here, and we'll save that. Yep, ID filled it. So 01, that is my gen set unit. And what is it? 3GS21B or something like that. I think it's a 3GS21B gen set anyway. And we'll hit save on that, and you'll notice it's popped up down here. And we can set all this stuff up in here. So you got road name, this is, I'm just going to put it in as UP. Road numbers 2701. Manufacturer is Lionel. The owner is me. And you can put like a speed limit on here as well and do all that kind of stuff. And basically the rest of these controls aren't going to do anything because it's not a proper DCC engine like this is meant for. You notice everything that's in yellow is basically things that can't be changed, unfortunately. So, and there is a lot of stuff here, and I've seen what this stuff can do with like DCC engines that have the normal DCC decoder in them and stuff like that, and you can actually do quite a bit of cool stuff with this. But anyhow, just on the basic roster entry stuff here, and we'll just save that, and we will, and you can also change it from right here apparently, so I could just leave that 3GS21B since that's what I did with the other SD90 Mac there. And I wonder if I can, yeah, so you cannot actually just change them from here, evidently. Maybe if I could type that, because my OCD will bother me if those aren't the same. Anyhow, you can click on this and you can click on throttle down here, and you will be brought to this page that pops up. And you'll notice none of these things will be labeled whatsoever. And that is where this comes in. And you can figure out what's what on this. And I'll show you how I have my other units set up in here. And the way that you program those in so you can actually see words on the button instead of the random function numbers, which mean nothing to anybody in the Lionel industry because they do not match to any of the buttons on the controller. But if you click on this labels and media thing, this will pop up and you'll actually be able to change the labels. So function 0, that acts as aux2, which is your headlight. Now, anybody that's ran DCC engines before know that this is actually pretty much the standard, like function 0 on a DCC controller is always the headlights on and off, which is what aux2 does on Lionel Legacy stuff. 1's bell, 2 is horn, 3 and 4, those are front and rear coupler. 7, that's your crew talk dialogue, which that one actually corresponds to one on the Legacy remote. But, this 10 button, that's I just called it multi, and that's the 5 key on the remote, which allows you to shut the engine down. You get, depending on what you do with it or if it's stopped or moving, you get restricted speed dialogues or emergency stop dialogues. So there's some stuff with that. F12 is your tower comm button. 13 and 14 are smoke off and on. 15 is your aux1 key. 20 and 21 is boost and brake. So you can just copy whatever this is you can usually just copy this for your locomotives instead of using the this thing, because I've noticed some of these don't actually, like, there's two different things on here for, like, let's see. You see this here? There's F15 says it's aux1, and there's this F5 plus 0 also says it's aux1. So it does kind of get confusing as to what's what, but if you just go through and copy the table that I have here for my UPS 290 Mac over here, you will be able to get that. And you can also delete locomotives in here, I do believe. Should be able to anyway. Yeah, right here, delete the loco. So I don't really want my gen set in there. And really that SC90 Mac's the only thing that I use to run this with. And now you'll notice after you get this labels and media thing set up, you go into throttle it. I select it, I suppose. If you click on this, you hit throttle, you get the function panel here, and it's actually labeled bell, horn, front, rear coupler, like F5, F6, all those I never actually programmed in, so those just kind of show up in there. And you should actually be able to go down to here and be able to get the boost and brake on those. And over here you have your speed control, forward, reverse, idle, and I think that's like the emergency stop. And this is your addressing panel. You can actually get through it through there and that kind of stuff. But anyway, there's some other things that you can do with this. Now this is one that I haven't seen before in any other software, and you get this TMCC monitor thing. And let me just see if I can demonstrate what that actually does here. I just turned on my legacy remote, and you'll notice these commands came up here. Now, those will not actually, with the legacy system, like if I blow the horn on, say, my genset switcher here, if I blow the horn on it, you'll notice these mean absolutely nothing. It just tells you, like, a truncated reply of length 1. It's got the hexadecimal value and quote marks there. But if I go on to something that actually should, at least in theory, mean something here, we go over to engine 48, which is the TMCC engines that I actually have set up right here. You notice now I have engine 48 blowhorn 1, and I can turn the bell on or whatever. You get the action command 2, which is like the crew talk. So basically, that's how that works. You should be able to get boost and brake as well. And then there's the speed step commands in there as well. You'll see that. Relative as well as absolute speed commands. So anyway, now the last thing that I'm going to do with this is come into here, click on Actions, and I'm going to click on Start Y Throttle Server. And I'll show you how you can actually control your trains with your smartphones off of this application here. Alright, so the application for the phone is actually called Engine Driver here. And you'll notice this discovered servers thing, as long as this phone is on the same Wi-Fi network as the computer, we can just hit the My JMRI railroad that it's already came up with. And there we go, we get this screen. Now I should mention on Android this is called Engine Driver. On your iOS devices it's called Y Throttle Lite, which is actually a completely different app and completely different UI. But I've been told that this is actually a little bit better of an engine, so, or a little bit better of a control app, because you get a bit more out of it. But you'll see that my roster that I've previously entered into the computer. We'll pull up the SD90 Mac, and you'll notice that all of the functions that I labeled earlier are now in here. So I have aux 1, bell, horn, front rear coupler, crew, multi, tower, all that stuff. And the other thing that I should mention is this program is not capable of legacy signals and stuff like that. So it does not read the roster out of your legacy remote, unfortunately. And it can't write to it either. Because it's meant to run with TMCC. It's not really meant for legacy. So anyhow, you get this screen. Go ahead and put some power on the track here. So that's always helpful. And usually to start these up, I just hit the aux 1. And the other thing I've noticed, for whatever reason, it puts it into manual RPM mode. And actually the legacy remote does that too, so I'm not real sure what the deal with that is, but in order to fix that, just hit aux 1 and brake. And you get that clunk noise, and that's it. So here's one of these sort of annoying things. If I just, you notice if I just tap that horn, it actually sticks on for quite a while. And if I hold it down, it doesn't actually stay on. It only, you can get a longer horn if you continuously tap it like this. And you notice it kind of just stays stuck on there for quite a while. One of the little annoying things with that app is this, and the other thing, we can go ahead and pull our train out here. Turn the smoke on by hitting aux 1, smoke on. I don't think it was on before anyway. So anyhow. This will also add a decent bit of momentum to it as well. If I move this up really slowly, it will actually take a little while to get up to speed. And here's just another annoying thing. If I bring this down slowly and I hit the horn, it actually won't do anything until it actually gets down to whatever speed it's set at, then the horn blows. So that's just one of the little annoying things. I noticed with DCC it doesn't do that. This is clearly optimized to work with DCC and not the Lionel TMCC systems. But hey, if you're on the cheap and you want to get something like this working, you have an old computer laying around, you get something at least. So we can also do like the, let's see, the tower comm stuff. And we should also be able to control turnouts in here. So if I say, let's just go turnout to 6. And then I think turnout 6 is over there. And I'm just going to hit a button here. Yeah, maybe not. And this is just one weird thing that I should show you about the turnouts. If you just go to the phone first, it actually won't do anything. When you hit the buttons. You actually have to go to the computer and set it up first, and I'll show you that in a second here. Let me go ahead and go back to the throttle screen and bring this to a stop. You'll see how slowly that actually rolls to a stop there. But anyhow, I'll show you how you can actually get switches to work off of this too here real quick. Pointed at what should be switch number 6. If I come into here, we go to actions and we do, let's see, where is that here? Turnout control. And if we do turnout number 6, you'll notice we get state unknown, feedback mode. There shouldn't be any feedback mode really. It'll come up as direct as soon as I click on this. So if I hit throw, it actually will go there. And now feedback mode is direct and the switch has been set up. If I go to 5 and do the same thing here, we'll just we'll close that switch. Switch number 2 should be closed already. And switch number 3 should be closed. And that should set all those up. So now if I go and take my little app on my phone, and we do the same thing we did before. And we come up into here, we hit this, and we hit turnouts. And we go to turnout number 6. And we hit, let's see, if I hit close, it should actually turn. See, there we go. So, sorry, I can't really get both in focus at the same time there. Doesn't work too well, but anyhow, you can get switches to work with this. And the other thing that I do sometimes is I will take the, if I go into actions and turnout control, you can actually open up multiple turnout control windows. And if you get multiple turnout control windows, what you can do is you can set like this. You get 2, 6, let's see where the other ones are at. 2, 6, 3, and 5, I think are the way mine are set up. So now I have all 4 of my switches set up on one screen here. And since I have a touchscreen laptop, I can actually just come in here and say close switch number 6 or throw it or whatever, since I just got the camera pointed at that one anyway. So anyhow, that's how that works. That's how I like to do my switching sometimes, so I don't actually have to switch back and forth on the legacy remote. I can just come in here and have all 4 of my switches set up, and I can just use the touchscreen and hit those. So for switch control, this program actually works just fine, minus the fact that it does need this direct feedback control here. So that's just one of the things to think about. And it kind of acts like you need to initialize the switch before it allows you to control it with this, but it does definitely allow you to use that. Alright, so I hope you found this at least somewhat helpful and a basic kind of bare bones guide to getting this set up. All the links will be down in the description for Java as well as the JMRI software itself. Anyhow, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. There is a good chance that I probably forgot about something in this video, and if I have to, I'll make a follow-up video in order to answer your questions, so that's no problem. So, just to sum things up here, this really is not the best software to use in order to control Lionel trains. However, I do know from experience it works great on the HO scale stuff, at least with Digitrax DCC that we use down at my local train club. And anyhow, there are a few issues with this in TMCC, like I've mentioned throughout the video, anyway, I'll do my best to answer your questions. There's a pretty good chance that I've left something out of this video. I may end up having to do a follow-up, but that's okay. And I'll just go ahead and leave here. We're pulling this train out. And you'll notice it's not going to blow the horn until it actually gets up to speed, which is kind of annoying, but I mean it works as basic train control as well as switch control. We'll see what this, I should be able to get an emergency stop. So
please go to restricted speed. Roger that. Slowing down. Out.
There's restricted speed. I'm just kind of messing around with it now. But yeah.
8048, emergency stop. 8048, emergency stop. 8048 here, we're stopped. Everything's okay. Good work.
And you can get all your normal through talk stuff if you have it like an aux 1 and then tower. Give it a minute.
8048, hold your position. Over. Roger that. 8048 here, clear waiting. Out.
And we can also give it clearance to move, same way.
8048, you are good to go. Over. Roger that. Clear. Over. Okay, out.
Alright, so anyhow, that's a basic look at the JMRI software. I should show you some of the preferences on the app that you can do. You can change the throttle name as it shows up on the computer. That doesn't really matter. You can change the screen orientation. You can show an emergency stop button if you want to. I don't know about the clock. You can change how many different throttles you have. You'll notice back on this other screen I have another one where I can hit press to select and I can set up another locomotive, and I actually have two locomotives on the one phone at one time, so that's pretty handy actually. You can do speed units, so you can do different things like that. Let's see, there's a whole bunch of just like personal preference stuff here. That one's pretty important, the stop on phone call. That will actually put your train into an emergency stop if you get a phone call while you're driving the engine. Stop on release, if you release the locomotive it'll stop it. It's pretty simple. There's some other stuff in here. So anyhow, there's a lot of different stuff that you can change in that if you want to mess with it. That's and this is what it's talking about when it says stop on release. You can release the locomotive by hitting the little button that says release, and you can select different locomotives when you do that. But anyhow, that's it for now, guys. Bye.